Hi, everybody. Matt Bernier, joined by DRF's national handicapper Mike Watchmaker, taking a look at this weekend's Weekend Warrior for the weekend of July the 21st. Happens to be opening weekend at Saratoga. Also happens to be opening weekend out at Del Mar, and that's where Mike's three races are going to come from. Let's start off with the first Grade 1 of the Saratoga meeting, Mike. It's the 10th race on Saturday, the Grade 1 Diana. You can go a few different ways. Look, Chad Brown's always going to be well represented. You got one of them.
Yeah, Matt, I think Chad Brown's going to win this race, but I don't think he necessarily has to win it with the horses I think is going to be the favorite, and that's Sister Charlie. Although I think Sister Charlie is going to be a big handful in this race, and I think she comes into this race as the top female turf horse in the country, despite her loss at 1-2 in the New York Stakes last time out when she was absurdly far back in the opening and middle stages of that race. I prefer a Raving Beauty in here. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting that there's very little early speed in this race. And one mare that could take advantage of that situation is Hawksmoor, but I just don't know if Hawksmoor is the same horse. Not because of what happened in the Gamely last time out, because she had a terrible start that day, and that race is a total throwout. It's more concerning her loss at 1-5 in her seasonal debut at Laurel. That was not a good effort, and I just don't know if she's the same horse. A Raving Beauty is 2 for 2 for Chad Brown and in the U.S., and she showed positional speed in both of those wins, the most recent being the Just the Game Stakes on the Belmont Stakes undercard. And even though she only won this race by 3/4 of a length, I thought she was a more decisive winner than that. And she is stretching out from a mile to a mile and an eighth, but that's no concern to me because earlier in her career in Europe, she was really good at 9 and 10 furlongs. I think there's a good chance that she might actually be more effective at this longer distance. So with a lack of pace, with a Raving Beauty being, I think, a factor from the outset in this spot, and Sister Charlie being a deep closer who might be pace reliant, I just think that it's a good chance to beat the favorite with a Raving Beauty, who I think is a good horse anyway.
Race prior to the Diana on Saturdays, the Grade 3 Sanford for 2-year-olds on the main track. Steve Asmussen has a couple in here. You go with one of them.
I am. I'm going to go Bano Solo. It's an interesting dream scratch on the race. And Sombier is the only horse in this race who's got experience. He finished second in the Tremont, but I just don't think the Tremont was a very strong race. And, I really wanted one of the first out winners. And I think Bano Solo is very interesting and actually might be an okay price in the spot. And the reason why I think he's interesting is while he didn't get the best fire figure winning his debut at Churchill Downs, I think this horse barely showed what he could do that day. I mean, he broke like a shot, controlled the pace under a long pole, was put to a hand right at the top of the stretch, opened up, had the race won, and it was taken under a long hold for the last, 70 yards, 100 yards, something like that. So, this horse barely showed what he could do, and he still won decisively. I think the fact that he, set that pace under a long hold might indicate that he would be amenable to rating, which would be a good thing because there might be a lot of speed in this race, and he's perfectly drawn towards the outside. I just think Bano Solo is a nice horse who might be undersold in this spot.
We go out to the West Coast Del Mar, 2 graded stakes races on Saturday. The one that you're looking at is race number 8, the 3-year-old fillies going a mile on the turf in the San Clemente. 14 of them are signed on in here. Richard Baltas has a few of them. You're interested in Flametta.
I am interested in Flametta. This is a wild race, Matt. There's just a ton of early speed in this race. I mean, everywhere you look in the past performances, you've got either straight up speed horses or horses that need to be right on the pace to be effective. I wanted a closer. There aren't many to choose from in this race, but Flametta is one of them. It's interesting. Flametta 4 starts back at her turf bow, won in front-running fashion going this 1 mile distance, but in her last 2 starts, she's morphed into a closer. Now, I understand that was on the downhill course at Santa Anita, but with this new running style that's paid off in 2 straight wins for her, I don't think she's going to abandon it, especially with the way this race sets up. And she's beat increasingly tougher company each time. I just think she's an improving filly with the right pace set up.
DRF's national handicapper Mike Watchmaker with this weekend's Weekend Warrior. You can find the entire write-up over on DRF.com. Mike, great stuff as always. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Matt.